So one of the, I think one of the most beautiful instructions that I've got. Can everybody hear me well? Yeah, okay. I don't know if beauty in terms of beauty, but in actual usefulness is always start with the end result. You know, Huan Li used to tell us that Garchen Rinpoche always, implies that. So I wanted to start reading this quote by Garchen Rinpoche. It's a longer page, but I'll send it to you by email later. Today I will read a part of it, and it says, the purpose of meditation is to realize the nature of mind, is to realize the essence of one's being. You should begin your meditation by taking refuge, by embracing this unconditional love potential, and cultivating boundless love, because when you meditate on the basis of love, your mind becomes all-pervasive, and only in such a boundless state you will realize the essence of your being and what the essence of your being truly is. Love is your actual refuge, your actual protection. If you meditate without boundless love as a basis, if meditation is based on a mere intellectual understanding of emptiness, it will become merely conceptual. So this is very packed with things. I think the first thing here is very important, is that the purpose of meditation is to realize the nature of mind, the essence of being. When we started the first session that we did, I shared with you this story when I was at Yosen at the university, and I saw those clients. I was following an intern, and after some time I realized that what I was perceiving, it was not what they were sharing, because to me it seemed that the main issue was not their physical ailments. The main issue was one's inability, which was also my inability, everybody's inability, to actually realize one's own nature. So this is why it's very important that if we want to, and this goes along with one of the topics today, which is pilgrimage into the heart of well-being and success. For many years I've been studying and going on pilgrimage, and I had the great fortune that two of my teachers with whom when I spent time in pilgrimage, they were very quick to point out to me, it's never about the destination, it's never about the location, it's not the place that is powerful. What is powerful is the view. What is powerful is your attention to detail of your emotions. What is the power is in one's ability to differentiate between, am I going on vacation, and therefore I'm trying to make everything around me fit my agenda so I'm comfortable, or I'm going on pilgrimage and being able to embrace everything that I encounter as pointers, as helpers, to help me unfold this unconditional love that is at the threshold of the sacred temple, which is divine consciousness. Happy Sunday to all of you. We can turn off the recording now if you want it. So this is really at the heart of things. So when we talk about this pilgrimage into the heart of well-being and success, it's not a doing. It's a resolve to integrate the fundamental point that is at the essence, at the core of all things, that everything we perceive is our own awareness, even if it seems separate. It seems separate because of habitual thinking and our mind being conditioned by our senses and becoming this worldly mind. So this is very tied into what we were talking the other day about the experience of our central channel, and how in our central channel these heavenly and earthly energies mingle as father and mother energy, and how we radiate, and then how that radiates through our energy, our levels of potential in our different layers of bodies, which they are counted differently, sometimes 5, 6, 7. But really at the fundamental aspect of all this is like this profound and joyful resolve to embrace everything that we perceive with this welcoming mind that is at ease, you know. So that's, I find this quote from Garchen very special because I'm a big time Garchen, I think groupie, you say, like these people who love their bands, you know. So I'm a big time Garchen groupie, as you know. But the purpose of meditation is to realize one's own essence. And this once, it's just big, it's like not just me, you know, it's like this whole experience. I remember when I met Mark Dyczkowski in Varanasi in his house. And then the first question was like, what do you think it is, all this that we perceive, you know? And that's really the question of questions, you know? That question goes back to who am I? Yeah? So the purpose of meditation is not just to make you feel comfortable. It's not to get you a better room in the Titanic as the Titanic is sinking. Yeah. The purpose of meditation is actually to get you out of the Titanic, you know, or to realize that there's actually no Titanic. And this is why it's essential that we start our practices with this cultivating the love and kindness. So to cultivate love and kindness, first we cultivate presence. So it's just presence. You are here. So this awareness of being, this being, it's really what we must resolve. This state of just being. And then within that being, within that experience of presence, we undertake this pilgrimage to just to acknowledge everything that comes, to share everything that comes, to enjoy everything that comes, to reject, you know, emotions just will show up. Today we'll talk about the emotional body. The emotional body is a guiding system that gives us the possibility to see if what we are experiencing, how what we are experiencing it's matching our values and our hopes, and then we use that as a guiding system. So it's all about the love and the wisdom. Yeah? So you arrive at the present moment, you become aware of where you are. You become aware that you are. And this is what we call ending up with a result. Many years ago, I was in Los Angeles. I used to go to the Zen Center to practice Zen there in Koreatown. It was very close to where I lived. I actually used to live in a Mahayana Buddhist center, but I used to go to the Zen Center because they had more practice time. And once every 2-3 months, you could have an interview with a sensei, like an official interview with the boss of the place, you know. And I remember, you know, sitting there one day with him. There was a woman, but that day there was like a substitute sensei. You know. I was not very satisfied. I wanted to talk with a woman, but I had to talk to him. And I remember asking him, so why do we practice? You know, I had this incredible need, this incredible drive, this burning desire to practice meditation, but I could not understand why. So why is this? Why I'm on fire to come here and sit to do nothing? And it's mind blowing, you know. I mean, I'm sure, you know, so probably many of you had the same situation. It's like, why is? And he said something that was completely unconvincing to me, you know. He said, to understand who you are. And I said, well, I know who I am. At the time I thought, you know. And that was so unfulfilling. That's so like, it was, man, this guy is like, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, though, I do think that maybe he had a point. So this experience of being, it's very interesting because it's the beginning and at the end is going to be the end. So that's what the great teachers tells us. So at the beginning of your practice, you just connect with this experience of being. And the experience of being is just experience of clarity in the present moment. And then from this experience of being, which is taking actual refuge, you know, and some of the Buddhist practices, you know, some different traditions take refuge in different ways. You know, some people take refuge in Jesus, some people take refuge in the Buddha and the three jewels, whatever your faith is. But those are only pointers to a state, which is a state of being present in the present moment and gradually letting the world soften, your opinions soften, your grasping of emotions soften, your senses, perceptions, the sounds, the ears, the eyes soften. We think it's very funny because we think, oh, I have my eyes open, you know, and obviously your physical eyes are open and my physical eyes are open and I can perceive the objects. But the true eye of the one who is perceiving behind is closed because we are grasping the objects too tight. Does that make sense? It's like you're hugging your lover, but you're hugging your lover so hard that cannot breathe, you know? People say, oh, I love you so much that it hurts. Then it's not love, you know, then it's something else. So this is very important. And with this, we'll start moving into more actual, what you would call formal practice. The way to abide in the present moment is by letting the senses relaxed. So you can practice this. You're hearing sounds, but you're not grasping the sounds. You're seeing things, but things are just not caught by your eyes, trapped by your eyes. It's almost like your senses are very open, very relaxed. Myself and all sentient beings, it is a prayer. We, or I, and all sentient beings are primordially enlightened. This is I'm not making it up, it's an actual prayer. Within this realization, I generate the sublime mind of awakening, the sublime mind of awakening. So within this state of wakeful, loving, mindful awareness, I just rest at ease. And then I connect with my motivation. So you can connect with whatever is your motivation for your personal practice, okay? This is in page 10 of the book. So just bring your attention to your personal motivation. The reason why you practice healing meditation or meditation. And then think that knowing or unknowingly, all sentient beings have a kind of personal motivation that they want for their lives. There's some sort of happiness, some sort of joy, some sort of safety, some sort of love, some sort of hope that they want to experience, that they feel it will make them feel better, bring them closer to who they are. So we connect our motivation with the motivation of all sentient beings in this way. Here also it's on page 10 in this wonderful healing notebook. I'm going to practice healing meditation to benefit both myself and all other sentient beings without exception. May my practice generate an infinite ripple of healing, well-being, and awakening across all time and space. May the illnesses of all beings be healed, and may they never occur again. May my practice bring joy and clarity to all beings, helping all of us become aware of our perfect essence. May we have the courage to recognize the same perfect essence within everyone and everything. May this recognition awaken healing, joy, peace, and love within each of us throughout all of existence. So from your heart, this beautiful motivation radiating through all your cells, trillions of cells in your body, all the inhabitants of your body. And then from your cells, radiating like this beautiful glow that radiates around you and to all sentient beings. Your family, your friends, your neighbors. So what we radiate is the certainty. What we radiate is this resolve to undertake this pilgrimage into the heart of life, to undertake this pilgrimage into the beauty of life, to undertake this pilgrimage into the ability, into the skill, into the reality of being able to deal with things as they manifest. Why? And this is really the key point of all this. If you want to put it from the context of a Christian or Catholic, from the Bible, because God made all things, I'll translate from Spanish, at his own image, from his own consciousness, yeah? So everything we perceive, the pencil, computer, another person, our feelings, our emotions, all these things have exactly the same source. I know every time I say the same thing, and there's really nothing else to say. Why? Because this is what we have to really resolve to experience. Not fabricate, because if we fabricate it is when it's shaky. It's I realize that everything has the same source, but my neighbor is such and such because he's not cleaning up the leaves. So his leaves are blowing into my yard. Yeah? So the resolve here is to realize that the leaves, the neighbor, your yard, yourself, are all this infinite ocean of consciousness and joyful being. And that's knowing yourself. And that's a pilgrimage, that's a journey, that's a process that it's always in progress. And that's why we practice. So bring the attention to the breath. We've done 3 practices so far. So we're going to review them and then we'll go into the next practice. So the first practice is just to observe the breath. Just bring your attention to the flow of breath coming in and out. Eyes open, eyes closed, it doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. Just bring your attention to the feeling of the breath coming in and out your nostrils. So the practice of the breath is extremely fundamental, obviously, because the breath is what keeps us alive, and therefore, you know, we've discussed back and forth. It is what it's helps us connect quicker to our, you know, the life of life, our very own life. So the difference between the first and the second practice, and this is very important for me to re-emphasize again. So you can be focused on an object, you can be focused on a task that you're doing, super focused, maybe you're working in a computer, okay? Or you can actually be aware of yourself, focusing on the computer, doing your task. So the first part, what we do, the breath of life, just breathing, observing the breath, is just being aware of the breath, very focused on the object. So it's a type of practice that we do. The practice that is more interesting for us now, and it's the practice that is at the basis of everything else we are doing, is this practice of first becoming aware of oneself as the one who hears, as the one who sees, as the one who tastes, as the one who feels. Okay, this is what in different traditions, you know, in different scriptures, is called, you know, different ways, but it's the eye of the eye, the ear of the ear. You know, there's sounds and there's a physical ear, but who is the one who actually hears, you know? So this is the one that we are looking for, is this type of awareness that sometimes is called the intro, like not the introduction, the pointing to this primordial wisdom that is at the basis of all things. Just this experience of being aware of whatever one is doing, or being aware of you focusing on what is it that you want to focus. And this is extremely important, Jim. Like gymnastics, we are ruled by our mind. You know, we think we are ruled by our emotions, but the mind, it's really determines, has a big function on the emotions, because it's our points of view that trigger our emotions. Yeah. If you like the rain and you know it's raining, you're happy. If you dislike the rain and it's raining, so you're going to be unhappy. But that's based on mental patterns. Okay, so we'll talk about the layers of the mind later. But so right now, just connect with this experience of being, which, if you could get something out of these, you know, 18 sessions that we are having, it's really that this is a practical class. You know, we're having these 9 months. This is a practice. The practice has a practical aspect, which is, you know, you sit and you do your practice, okay? But the key aspect, why do we do the practice? We do the practice so we are able to integrate the view and the experiences that we cultivate in our practice into the day-to-day. That's the pilgrimage here, okay? The pilgrimage is the integration. Yeah. We love going on pilgrimage, you know, I've been with some of you, you know, we spend a lot of time, Ellen, Gary, some of you, we've been in Spain, and, you know, and it's beautiful, but the pilgrimage is really not going to the site. You know, that's a journey. Again, the difference between a vacation and a pilgrimage, the difference between, you know, sitting to observe your breath and having a spiritual practice, is the ability and the resolve to integrate that in day to day, so your heart is more at ease, more loving. That's really the practice. So that comes from just being first. So if you can get something out of this whole this whole section, these sessions of practice, is the experience of being that is very clear. I mean, I'm sure all of you can like find the difference between doing something or being aware of you doing something. It's very different, it's very distinct. That is the narrow gate. So if you can remember something from everything that you've heard me say at all, remember this: experiencing, being in the present moment, and then resolving to sustain that experience of being. Being able to rest at ease in one's being, regardless of what happens externally. And then what happens externally, and you know, another of the purposes of today was to address these, you know, I think I named it the source of abundance and creativity within every breath, you know. So what happens is like once one resolves, to be aware, to be mindful, to sustain this mindfulness of being under any circumstance, one becomes very, very fine-tuned to the changes on one's body, on one's thought. Yesterday I was in the, you know, Brooke was doing some craniosacral on me, and I had some tension in the neck a little bit here, and she was doing some craniosacral. And I'm laying there in the sofa and she's working on me, and I'm super relaxed. It's like, oh, it's heavenly, you know? And she does fantastic craniosacral. She does everything fantastic, but craniosacral is one of her specialties. And I hear the kids playing outside. You know, the kids are playing with the neighbors, and you know they are. Alden is telling my 9-year-old is telling the other kids, I'm gonna get the leaf blow dryer, whatever you call the thing that blows the leaves. And so I started picturing, you know, what can happen is like, we have that one, is super powerful. So he runs inside and starts asking Brooke, can I get that? Brooke says, no, wait. And I observe, like, from this complete state of relaxation, like this wave of tension is very subtle, you know, in a day-to-day would completely unnoticed, okay? But this is something exactly what happens when, you know, you're outside and you're in traffic, or you're outside and on TV or something that you dislike, or there's these subtle waves of tension that if you are unaware, like I could see, I was laying there super relaxed, and he starts coming, and his voice starts becoming annoying because, you know, Brooke has told him 7 times, wait, and he keeps insisting until finally he sends him upstairs for a few minutes. I could see the energy building up on myself to actually lift from the sofa and tell them to go, you know, you can imagine, okay? So this is why this awareness of being is extremely precious, because if you don't have that, you explode either internally and you know, develop some illness, or you explode externally and you start causing problems, you know, for yourself and others. So this awareness of being and the resolve to maintain the awareness of being, and therefore from this awareness of being, naturally this loving kindness, tenderness, expanding. You know, I'm there, and you know, he just wants to have fun with his friends, and you know, so blowing leaves with that powerful thing is fun. He would never blow leaves just to help me because it's no fun, but now, you know, he's with a friend, okay? So it's normal, I understand. I've been 9 years old too. So because I was in a very calm state, so I finish, and then, you know, I go outside and I talk to them and we make a plan, okay? But all that comes from the awareness, at least for me, and maybe all this is, you know, all news for you, but from the awareness of observing the different sensations of your body, the different emotions starting. So it's very, very different to pick up an emotion right at the beginning, when it's just like an electric impulse that is starting, to pick up an emotion when you have, you know, typed something on Facebook because somebody made a comment that you didn't like, you know, or when you press the red button and you said something that was offensive. I know you all get all this, and you know, my examples might be you know, a bit not so impressive, but the important thing here is like to hold one's awareness of being, okay? So let's do that for 3 minutes. Hold the awareness of being as you observe the breath. So first connect with the awareness of being. And then either eyes closed or eyes open, whatever feels more comfortable. Just remain aware of yourself breathing. Keep sustaining your awareness of being, keep sustaining this experience I am, and to that we add breathing. If you had your eyes closed, open them. If you had them closed, close them. And experience yourself breathing, present, aware in that new situation. And now bring yourself to a situation that might, you think, oh, this would trigger some emotions. You're watching TV, you are, I don't know, talking to somebody who you have conflict, or you're faced in a situation that you are fearful, you know, that if you are afraid of planes, you know, you have to catch a plane, whatever. So we are never talking about suppressing anything that we experience. It's not, you know, it's really not a possibility to suppress something for a long time. Otherwise you develop illnesses. What we are talking is, I am in this situation, but the I am is first. So you are, you know, in front of the TV, and you know these images are coming, and you can observe, because you are aware I am, you can observe any tension. And then here is where the resolve comes. Here is where the pilgrimage comes. And the incredible thing of this pilgrimage is all happening in a fraction of a second within yourself. A pilgrimage into the motivation of being at ease with whatever happens. You know, I might be at ease even with my own tension. Okay, there's no need to add more tension. So this is truly the pilgrimage into the heart of well-being, of healing, to be at ease by connecting with this experience of being. And that's what naturally is going to soften. This has the power of water. Water made the Grand Canyon. Some of those, you know, I imagine most of you have been in, in Grand Canyon, yeah? That was made by water, you know? How much power has water? It depends on the persistence, yeah? So this is why after we observe the breath, and after we connected with the experience of just being and observing the breath, then we started observing the qualities of the breath. Observing the qualities of the breath is an analogy for observing the qualities of anything that is going on, you know, like anything that is going on in the world. You could break it down in the same things. Okay, I'm experiencing this in this world, I'm experiencing this situation. what is it? What are the characteristics of it? You can break it down into anything, and from a point of calmness, observe it. So this is the invitation of this practice in terms of the healing here. And we did that through exploring breathing. So when we explore the breath, we can review this practice. I like very much to do the exploration of the breath, which goes together with a journey into deeper breathing. I like very much to do it when I'm laying down. For example, you know, I'm going to bed or I'm taking a nap, or I love napping. So every day I try to take a 20-minute nap. It's very funny. People come at the office and they apologize when they take naps, you know, and say, oh, yeah, you know, sometimes I have to take a nap. It's almost like, I think this is an American thing, or at least partially American, you know, because in Spain, everybody's very proud of their naps, you know, it's like, man, that nap was fantastic, you know. Gary and Ellen, who lived in Spain, you know, they can attest, I'm sure they can attest that. So 20-minute naps, you know. So it's not a lazy nap that you, I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as a lazy nap. It's not a procrastination nap. It's like a recharge, you know. So you lay down, and from now on, you can pick up some of these practices and just incorporating what we call a dynamic nap. You might be there, or you might wake up and it's early, or sometimes you might wake up at 4 in the morning, and you know, I mean, where are you gonna go? No? So you can stay in bed and for a little bit and just connect with the breath. So the first thing is just observe the depth of the breath. And the depth of the breath really comes down to this sense of satisfaction. Is how deep is the breath going inside and how much there's the volume of exchange. So just observe. In whatever position you are, don't change positions, just observe, is the breath, does the breath radiate down to the abdomen? Where does it stop? Is it a satisfactory amount? And again, this is observation, like you're looking at the TV, something is happening, you are like experiencing some emotion, it's whatever is going on, you are observing. There's no judgment, there's no intention to change, you know. We are so quick to try to change everything because we have an agenda. I have an agenda, I don't know if you have one, but so I observe myself jumping into changing everything. So this is the opposite. We're just, is this pilgrimage into being at ease, this resolve of letting things unfold. So we gather information, and then if something needs to be done, it's done. It's not about being completely passive or disengaging from life. And then something always interesting is to observe the speed of the breath. You know, how is your speed of the breath? Is it fast? Is it slow? Usually, always, slower breath means higher consciousness. Not if you force it, but over time, you know, your breath naturally during a practice grows slower because there's a type of secondary breath that is the breath of the central channel that activates. And then what is the sound of the breath? Is it choppy? Is it, you know, is it congested? It's just, you just observe. For each of these things, there's a reason. So this is very useful. Maybe you run into somebody and, you know, their, their voice is loud, or they are, you know, whatever. So you, because you have cultivated this awareness of being and this ability to observe, you understand that at the end of the day, really nothing is personal. Everything is about how one is feeling with themselves. So it's not something they are doing to you. So you don't need to jump into being defensive. Or you observe how you're jumping into being defensive and you just soften and you don't need to engage there. And then the observation of the rhythm and ratio of the breath. which is what is the relation between the inhalation and the exhalation? Is it one longer than the other one? It's natural that the exhalation tends to be longer. Sometimes in some of our practices, we'll try to make them even. And sometimes that's good, and sometimes that might feel uncomfortable. So you just have to see not to force anything. It is the breath of life that we are observing. And this is why these practices with the breath are so precious. And then there's a rhythm in which the breath comes. Okay, so is it regular? Is it irregular? Is it choppy? How is it? This practice is a profound practice of self-love and self-acceptance and self-appreciation. For oneself, for one's mind, for one's breath. Our minds tend to be quite critical with oneself and others. I think one of the instructions that Jesus gives more times in the Bible is do not be so critical. Yeah? Do not be so critical with others, which implies do not be critical with yourself. Cultivate the welcoming mind. Cultivate the mind that observes. Why? Because through this cultivation, through this observation, you can make informed decisions. Of course, we have preferences, and there's a certain point in which obviously things are better than other things for practical purposes. So unfolding, developing, committing to this ability to observe without judging gives us this power to then make decisions that we're going to use in the next practice, which is practice into a journey into deeper breathing. So we are in page 37. And there's this quote here, it's very beautiful. This quote comes from a book called The Snow Leopard. It's a fantastic book from Peter Matthiessen. I don't know how you say that last name. Matthiessen something. That's a fantastic book. If you have not read the book, I really encourage everybody to read the book. It's a beautiful book, The Snow Leopard. I think the Snow Leopard. It's in the references on the back. No, I think I erased the reference. You check online. Okay, El Leopardo de las Nieves is called in Spanish. Beautiful book. So until now, we have focused our practice on first acknowledging the breath, and then observing it and exploring it. The second step that we did, which is to recognize ourselves, and then it's in the breath of life to acknowledge the breath as the source of our consciousness and the source of our physical life. It's extremely important. I mean, it's really the basis. of everything we do. But because we are creators, our potential here is not only to observe and to explore and to just surrender, but it's also to improve. Yeah, to not improve in a way, you know, the Tao Te Ching says very beautiful, do not try to improve the universe, you will spoil it. Okay. So it's not improving because things are wrong. It's improving because we want to naturally explore and experience deeper, more expansive states. And the breath allows us to do that. I was talking to somebody, I had a coaching call with a client earlier this week. And you know, she was mentioning that, you know, she's been looking for a teacher for all these years, and she's been looking for practices to do, and you know, she moves from different practice to different practice, and obviously that's very unsatisfactory, because you know, it's like dating, you know, a lot of people. When you want to get married, at some point you have to get married to somebody and at least give it a chance. Yeah? So these practices, if you give your attention and your dedication, your time, you know, for a year of practicing daily, these things, the transformation and the results are unavoidable. It's like impossible that you will not experience a great transformation in your perception of the world and understanding of who you are. Okay, so I totally root for these practices because they have been handed down for millennia. So in this very breath, all this to talk about the quote, sorry. In this very breath we now take lies the secret that all great teachers try to tell us. Okay, so this go when all this whole explanation goes to say this. So I was talking to this person and I was saying, but if you just take one of the single practices, you know, she was telling me, oh, you know, I trust you so much. And I mean, it has nothing to do with me. So, well, if you trust something so much, why don't you just do? You know, just follow. So this is the idea of refuge. It has nothing to do with me, okay? I mean, there's these practices, I just put things here that I learned from others, okay? So if you get a glimpse that this is good for you, give it all you have. Give it a year, okay? In this very breath, so there was this breath now, this breath now, you know, this breath now. In this very breath we take now lies the secret that all great teachers try to tell us. Okay? All the great teachers being the embodiment of divine consciousness at an expanded state. Okay? All the times we spend in church, all the time that, you know, all the time we travel to all these great places, all the, you know, practices we do, everything we do is contained in the awareness of one's being in this breath. So to deepen that experience, we see how to expand the qualities of our breath. So I'm in page 38. So to make this easier, I divided this in 3 sections, but obviously the breath works all at one. Okay, so while we do this practice, it's a soft practice, and we don't want to create any tension. Okay? So we're going to go over the steps. We're going to start with the diaphragm. So there's 3 parts: between the pelvic floor to the bottom of the rib cage, then the middle of the rib cage, and then the top of the rib cage. So bring your attention to the flow of your breathing, just as you breathe naturally. Just simply be aware of your breath. And then bring the attention to the lower abdomen, around the area of the navel and below, towards the waist, the hips. This practice is extremely important because the other day we were talking about the central channel. So you have the heart, and from the heart there's the main arteries and the main veins that are very thick that run just down the center of the body into the main organs and then down the legs, okay? The same thing with the nerves that come out the spine. So as we keep releasing, relaxing, expanding, harmonizing the abdomen, we're giving more room to these veins to nourish, you know, the legs. So many problems we have, you know, neuropathies, peripheral neuropathies like Raynaud's syndrome, all these problems with circulation have to do with tightness in the abdomen, like constricting, okay? Heart issues, you know, if the blood cannot flow back into the heart or out of the heart. So these practices are extremely important to help with this. So your attention is on the abdomen. And here is the key to these practices, to most of the practices. Here is where we change from the simple observation into the actual more dynamic aspect of we start to be more proactive into the healing, okay? So in step 3, it says smile, and that's a word. That's the key, smile. Okay, so you are smiling to your abdomen, to your inner hips, to the thighs, sending happy feelings. Okay. It's as simple as that. Okay, so you keep your breath there, and you're gonna connect with someone, you're gonna connect with something, and you connect with a smile. It's a gentle smile, it's a smile that acknowledges. It's not like a silly smile, no, it's like, it's a smile as saying, hey, I see that you're here. Welcome into my field of perception, or you know, hi. It's a beautiful inner smile. So smile is synonymous for recognition. You recognize, but it's a recognition that comes from joy, from extending happiness. Any circumstance that one lives, you know, that one is happening in one's life, if we contact that with joy, if we contact that with acknowledging, you know, if we have observed with a welcoming mind and we have understood that the other person, the other group, the other part also has hopes, also has feelings that are attached to an outcome desired. You know, often that outcome would be benefit some, you know, and not others. But if we can approach that situation with this welcoming mind that acknowledges this, and you know, there's a smile of love, a smile of welcoming, and then there's this happy, this joy that is shared. So now we share this, we smile into the tissues of the waist, of the hips, of the abdomen, and we just observe how they feel. And then from this love, we invite tensions, both conscious tensions and unconscious tensions, to soften. We don't say, oh, these tensions are wrong, you know, you should not be tense. What we do is like, we send a warmth, a loving warmth, that naturally is like the sunshine shines on the ice that is outside from the night, and then the ice melts and water is what is left. So whatever tension is there, we soften. Especially smile into the inner hips. There's about 15 main muscles that attach into the hip waist area. And those are made out of millions of cells of fibers. So smile there. You can even visualize some golden light, whatever it is, just smile there. Bring the breath there and smile. This is essential for men, for the prostate, because it's that same area. It's essential for hip health. It's essential for digestive health, for, for the ovaries, the uterus, any genital issues. And as you smile, you can observe if the tissues relax and how your breath changes. Bring your abdomens, bring your palms on the navel. Place your palms on the navel. Smile also into the navel, inviting all the tissues there to soften. And naturally allow the breath, invite the breath to be deeper in the abdomen. And we're going to do this by, as we exhale, use the muscles of the abdomen very gently to squeeze a little bit. And then as you exhale, as you inhale again, you'll notice that it expands, and just expand a little bit more. It's very gentle. The other day we talked about the central channel and the 7 layers of potential. So the perineum area or energy center, the energy center that is above the pubic bone, and the energy center that is on the navel, the area of the navel, the 3 of them are nourished and greatly benefit from this breath. So as you inhale, gently expand a bit more, and as you exhale, gently contract a bit more the area of the abdomen. And it's natural that, the breath is happening in the actual lungs, so the lungs will also want to expand and contract, just then let them naturally. And keep smiling into the area, deepening, exploring this journey deeper. Smiling into all the tissues of the low back, the sacrum, and maybe realizing internally, it's not something that you fake, but maybe realizing that this is actually extremely profound, extremely, a word, I don't know if it's powerful, but there's this ability that you have to guide more resources on your tissues for physical health, for better energetic flow, for better consciousness flow. So here the realization is, I don't have to be a victim of circumstances. I have the ability to transform how I feel. And that is the pilgrimage again, the resolve to tend to care for that derealization. When in day-to-day something comes to mind that makes you feel in a way that you don't like, not suppressing it, but realizing, oh, I can transform this by connecting with myself and then using it to make better choices. There's this profound sense of love. And then just rest the hands and breathe naturally. And start really becoming aware of how the breath naturally expands and becomes wider and how that makes you feel. Now, from the lower abdomen, bring the attention into the lower and middle rib cage. There's a picture here on page 39. You don't have to go, but there's a picture there. And at the beginning, just observe. So bring your attention to this area and just observe as you breathe what is happening there. You have the diaphragm and you have all the muscles that surround the rib cage, and then you have all the muscles that are around the lungs and the muscles that are around the heart, all the muscles that are on the back. So smile to those areas. Again, it's like a welcoming smile. It's like, oh, I know you're here, I'm here too. This is wonderful. So is your awareness smiling to your physical body, which is also your awareness. And then put the hands on the sides. Go put them like this on the back or in the front, whatever is comfortable. And we're gonna inhale. And then please be careful, make sure everybody's seated. If you're driving, don't do this. I see some people, I don't see their camera. So you're gonna squeeze, 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 squeeze a bit more, and then just let the air come in. So what we are gonna do with this, we're gonna see how by using more the muscles on between the ribs and on the lungs, we can actually get a much deeper exchange of air. Okay, start slowly. Okay, don't go crazy. Don't get this. Usually this might cause a bit of dizziness, but also go slowly. Okay, so inhale, and then exhale. As much as you can. And then a bit more. Rest the hands for a couple breaths. So we're going to do this 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. And then exhale again at your own pace, as much as you can and a little bit more. And once more, exhale as much as you can. More, 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 more. And then just breathe naturally. You will need much more air inside, okay? The inhalation will be deeper naturally. This triples the amount of oxygen, which is the currency that the body uses for everything. So this triples the amount of oxygen that actually now becomes available to your body and the amount of elimination that is going out. The other day we were talking about how the breath is a mechanism of elimination of toxins. So this completely expands that our ability to eliminate and to absorb. Let's do once more. Inhale and exhale. So we have the gentle squeeze on the abdomen. You know, you could make a tighter squeeze too on the abdomen when you inhale. And we have the squeeze here. And then we're going to do the upper part of the lungs. When you observe people, this is something that I always observe here at the office. When people lay down on the massage table, on the acupuncture table, you just see how people are breathing. Most of us during the day breathe very superficially, which a part of that just ventilates, like just bends, regenerates maybe 1/3 of the lungs efficiently. You can do a short breath, no? You see, compared with the amount of air that we squeezed out and got in, like the normal breath is very, very minimal. Yeah. So the same thing happens with the upper part of the lungs. The upper part of the lungs, that is let's say the upper part of the lungs usually doesn't get vented so efficiently. Okay, it's like the attic in your house. You know, very often, you know, that nothing happens there. So it retains a lot of toxicity. It retains byproducts that then cause the respiratory system to be inflamed, the intestines to be inflamed. So smile to the upper part of your lungs, the shoulders and the upper rib cage. First bring your attention there and then smile. When you smile to any part of the body, it's like the cells start clapping, you know, they are so happy because they know that all the cells of the body have emotional receptors. So when you smile, it's like somebody's doing a hard work and you tell them, thank you, this is great. And you smile to them, naturally they are happier and they feel more connected and more integrated. You know, it's really about teamwork. So then bring the hands to this may be a bit uncomfortable for your neck, so you can, you know, play with it. In the book, the picture is like this, but you might feel the cervicals a bit tight, so you can also lower like this, whatever feels comfortable. Okay. and then breathe in. And you'll notice how the breath is directed more towards the upper chest, okay? You could also, if this is uncomfortable, this might be a bit uncomfortable for your neck, you could you could stay like this with the elbows forward and then inhale and exhale. In So keeping the attention in your upper shoulders, okay? So now do the same thing. Bring the breath to the upper shoulders and try, as you exhale, try to squeeze them a little bit out. And then you can rest. In terms of cleansing the lungs and therefore cleansing the body, because you know, the lungs are almost like the chimney of the body that goes out the nose. This upper part is super, super important. And it's also very essential for the lymphatic system, because we have the body has a double lymphatic system, which is the sewage for the blood vessels. So there's one that goes to the whole body, and there's one that is specific for the right side of the body that is connected to the upper chest and the arm, because most of us are right-handed, and you know, we tend to use the right hand more. So you know, in its infinite wisdom, the body devised a separate system of cleansing. So when you are activating the upper respiratory system on the upper part of the lungs, you're cleansing more that part. So this is also very important for that. So then in page 42, we unite these three sections. This can be done two ways. You could start on the upper, then lower, and then lower, then middle, and then lower. I personally prefer to start lower and go up. But I also have seen people do this the other way around. So inhale to the abdomen, expanding and relaxing. Then inhale in the middle, and then inhale in the top. And then exhale from the top to the middle to the lower. So inhale into the lower abdomen, middle, and top. And then exhale from the top to the middle and to the lower. This should not be mechanical in such a way that creates tension. So for a couple of minutes, just everybody at your own pace, integrate these three parts. Starting by taking a nice breath that feels comfortable, but it's a bit wider in the abdomen, then on the chest, and then on the upper chest, and then exhaling downwards, giving a gentle squeeze, but a squeeze that feels like we're doing a bit extra effort. You can start by doing 3 of these and gradually increase to, if you could, if someone can build up to 27 of these breaths and then just sit in meditation, that's fantastic. But 3, 5, 7, it's great too. So you do this, which is a dynamic practice, and then you completely let go again, and you go to more like an observing practice, which is just being aware of your own being, just being. So you can keep breathing and just being. I just wanted to, before we finish, we're about to finish. So pilgrimage into the heart of well-being and success. Again, the definition of pilgrimage, or what, there's many definitions of pilgrimage. I guess there's as many definitions of pilgrimage as pilgrims. Okay, this pilgrim here thinks today. Okay, a pilgrimage is a journey that one undertakes, I wrote this down, with the objective of accomplishing an aim, of accomplishing something that is beyond what one is achieving in one's normal circumstances and with one's normal behavior, one's normal attitude. Okay? So pilgrimage is going to a sacred site, externally, going to the Camino de Santiago, going to whatever you go on pilgrimage, so many infinite number of beautiful places. But that's an external pilgrimage that doesn't guarantee the transformation. What guarantees the transformation is the attention and the intention of undertaking a journey with an objective of accomplishing an aim that is beyond in quality, beyond in consciousness, of what we are achieving in our normal day-to-day with one's habitual behavior. So this practice of the breath, it's a pilgrimage into deeper breath, it's to a journey into deeper breath, because we're exhaling more, inhaling more. We're massaging our inner organs. We're inviting our body to feel better. Okay. And so the resolve that one takes as the result of, or as as the pilgrimage itself, is to unite one's view, one's understanding with one's conduct. That's a trick, okay? Because I know you, and I know a lot of people who come here, and to me everybody seems like a good person. Really, I don't see anybody that is really trying to harm anybody, physically or mentally or verbally. But what I do see, and I see it myself, so that's why I know, it's a misalignment very often between one's view, one's understanding, one's sense of the sacredness of life, and one's conduct. And that is the pilgrimage, okay? And the pilgrimage, or the misunderstanding, is as simple as a critique to somebody, internally or externally. So that's the pilgrimage, and that's a journey into the deeper breath. And what makes the difference between a vacation and a pilgrimage, between just going to yoga class to get your physical body better, or desiring this profound union with the divine, is, are we able to let go of our personal agenda as we observe? Okay, are we able to embrace things as they come to us and deal with them in a way that is free, okay, that is much more relaxed, instead of constantly judging and criticizing everything, even in the slightest degree. You know, sometimes I made this joke, I'm sure some of you have heard it, but when you buy a CD, I don't know if anybody buys CDs anymore, but you buy a CD and now you have to peel the wrapping, you know? You pay 20 bucks for the CD and it's pretty much impossible to remove the plastic wrapping, you know? And it's like, you know, you just want to rip it apart to hear your music, you know? So that's an expression of anger, you know? You would never notice, you know? So this is extremely important here. And it is that, commitment, is that resolve to abiding in this realization of the divine, sacred essence of all things, all beings, that is the source of, which was the other point here that I wanted to discuss, is the source of all abundance and all creativity. Because it just naturally gives you a sense of ease, okay? And that's the journey. That's the process, and it's always in progress. So. And it's really all about the love for oneself and for others. It's really about nothing else. It's the love that is a wise love. It's the love that is based on awareness of being. It's not a love with one rips oneself apart hard because the world is too difficult and too sad. It's a love that is based on the realization that the world is based on contrast and on change and on growth, and that looks very messy most of the time. So it's the love for oneself, the love for others, the love for the growth, the love for the challenge, the love for the understanding. In this very breath that now we take lies the secret that all the great teachers try to tell us. Lies the secret that is hidden in all sacred sites. Lies the secret that that everything we ever wanted was pointing to. Lies the secret that is no secret, you know, which is that the more we can sustain mindful, loving awareness for ourselves and for everything we encounter, the more we enjoy life. And the more we can be of a source of benefit and a source of service and a source of healing to others. And to conclude our practice, because this is extremely precious and extremely exceptional and extremely beneficial, so we dedicate the merit in a way that it can vibrate through all realms of existence to also benefit all other beings. So we become aware of how precious, you know, this practice, this conversation. Even though I'm just talking myself, I imagine in your head you are talking to yourself a little bit. So how precious this monologue. No, this conversation is precious because this is a conversation, you know, sentient beings, human beings have been having with each other for you know, since beginningless time. So we become aware of how precious there is and how precious our life is, and that the time is passing by, and that it's very precious to resolve to dedicate one's life, daily life, whatever it is what you're doing on the market, at home, whatever it is, to cultivate this view. Okay, so by the merit of having practiced healing meditation for the benefit of myself and all other beings, may all beings without exception be well and happy, may there be peace in all lands, prosperity in all households, and joy in all hearts, across all time and space. And may all the motivation prayers made for the well-being of beings become a reality. Thank you.